After the sob story from last week, I now want to let you in on how I went from this to something completely different. Well, just the very beginnings at least. So there I was. Now what? I know I don't like my job. I want to do something else, something I love and that makes me happy. Maybe you also want to be happier. There must be more to work than whatever you're doing right now, but it's not that easy. Some people just knew it early on, like Gordon Ramsay, and even for him it wasn't straightforward. Before his culinary career, he had a career in soccer, but multiple injuries, including a broken knee, put an end to his soccer career. And while he loved cooking, his early career was perhaps more turbulent than plain happy, but at least he knew what he wanted. For him, this happened when early in his career he worked in a hotel. He was only washing up, but that was when he first got the idea of becoming a chef. I was in the kitchen listening to all the noise and I was fascinated. I couldn't believe the way people were shouting at each other. I was working like a fucking donkey, but the time used to fly by. I was enraptured. I also wanted to find my Gordon Ramsay moment. I continued fiddling with my PowerPoint presentation until one day when we were out having lunch, a colleague let me in on the latest news. She heard through the grapevines that a colleague was about to quit his job. He and his wife had started an online travel blog. Or was it a travel agency? Whatever that was, it sounded amazing compared to this. I looked around the floor but couldn't find him. Perhaps he was already gone. I can't say that this was the turning point, but it was one of the many things culminating into the big change I was about to make. Common internet self-improvement wisdom advises against comparing yourself with other people. But looking at what the seemingly crazy things other people were doing and comparing my boring situation with theirs was exactly what I needed. It was inspiring. There is actually a way out. People have done it. I knew what I didn't want, which was to stay here. But I didn't really know what I wanted instead. Well, that was a problem. Albert Einstein purportedly said, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." But what was the opportunity that supposedly lay before me? What did I really want? Why was it so difficult to articulate what I wanted? I guess that all these years of working in a job that I didn't want left me rather numb. Nothing could really excite me that much. It was either that or simply fear. The fear of change. All this while I was like a goldfish or this clownfish swimming around in this beautiful and supposedly safe fish tank. How dare I leave and explore the world? The question shifted from, do I want to leave my job, which was obvious, to what do I actually want to do instead? So there I was, perfectly aware that it was all up to me to set things in motion to change my career and with that my life. And if I no longer wanted to watch from the sidelines as other people did all these exciting things, I got to seriously deal with this fear. But I had no idea about what I needed to do. I was anxious and feeling scattered. Well, this was a great start. You might already have a hunch about what you want to do, what it is that you love doing, at least more than what you're doing right now. You might know that you don't want to stay in this job or even career forever, but you think, I'm not really sure, I don't know, and you're overthinking everything, which is fine. Go ahead and overthink, but at least do it in a structured way that has a conclusion. Productive, structured overthinking. A video for another time. So I was scared and anxious, but committed to find out what I wanted. Turn the hunch into something more concrete, turn an idea into something strong enough that I would act on it and not just sit on it. At first, I sat at the kitchen table, took a sheet of paper and pen, and started scribbling around trying to get my thoughts on paper. My roommate joined me to chat, then my mom dropped in to chat from time to time. I just couldn't think. That's it. I knew I needed to have a meeting with myself. If I was serious about finding out what I wanted to do next, I had to treat myself seriously. And being the master of chairing meetings, conference calls, I called an offsite meeting with myself. And that's how I spent the next months in the library. I wanted to know what I wanted, why I wanted it, and how I'll do it, and wouldn't stop before I understood this. And this was exactly what I needed to do. There was something about being in the library that made me calm. You might have also been asking yourself what it is that you really want to do. The question might popped up here and there and then disappeared. You might have even taken a personality test or a what is the ideal job for me kind of test, but then felt disappointed about the results and gave up. I just don't know what I'm passionate about. And that's exactly when you need to have a meeting with yourself. Lock yourself in a quiet room, go to a cafe where you'll not be interrupted, or go to the public library like I did. That was step 1. Go to a quiet place. Every weekend, I would spend hours in the library treating this like an investigation. I started off with all my hunches. I got my tools ready, a dedicated notebook to document my process, a venti, coffee, and a muffin or a brownie. I pulled various career-related books off the shelf, including Who Moved My Cheese, What Color Is Your Parachute, Escaping Corporate Cubicle, some books on acting, and many more, anything that caught my interest. I worked on auditing 2 central streams. One was noting down all the things I disliked about my job, working in the industry I was in. The other one was writing down all the things that I liked doing about my job. Yes, there were some things, surprisingly, about other jobs and work that I didn't know much about. I wrote down why I liked certain things and why I hated doing other things, what I was interested in versus what I couldn't care less about, what kind of life I wanted, and how that career would fit in. I started drawing connections. I wrote down enough pages to fill a thesis. That was step 2, and at the end of each session, I would know more and more about myself. Here's the thing about finding out what you want. To think you want something is one thing. It might be a glitzy object in the distance that once you get close to, you realize that you don't want at all. But the key to knowing what you want for your career and life is knowing yourself, and that takes time. Asking yourself useful questions is one thing, but the way to really know yourself is to expose yourself to different things and see how you react. I signed up for an acting course, auditioned for indie short films. I dragged myself to a networking event and made friends with a voice actor. Wow, you can actually make money selling your voice? Fast forward many years later, I made 1,900 Canadian dollars recording a 3-hour session, which is just mind-blowing. So I still chuckle when I remember that encounter. I was working on spreadsheets and PowerPoints by day, disappearing for auditions during lunchtime, rehearsing scripts at night. I loved it. The deal was sealed. Not talking about success here, but at least I knew what I wanted to do next, and that was enough to take me out of that dark hole. That was step 3, experimentation. Now I knew what I wanted, or I thought so, but at least I had a glimpse of another life. But it was still a foggy picture. So what if I loved acting? What to do about this knowledge? I'm not gonna walk into a studio and get on the big screen. I'm gonna be a starving artist. Forget it. Maybe you already know what you want, but you're not acknowledging it. It's too risky. Oh, no, even worse. In a risky situation, at least you know the probabilities of different outcomes. But in this case, it's totally unknown. It's too uncertain. That's it. Uncertainty. How can you make a decision with so much uncertainty about how it will pan out? Make a game, start a business, become a graphic designer, etc., etc. How can you know if you'll succeed at it? The answer is, you won't. Unfortunately, you cannot know for sure that you'll succeed at it. I didn't have any certainty at that time, but I knew that I had to start moving in the right direction, even though in a zigzag manner. If you want to know what you want, you have to go on a trip of discovering it. Be that detective who finds clues and puts the puzzle pieces and connections together. You might even make a career change just to find out that it's not what you've expected it to be, and then you'll need to make another change. But it requires that you make that first step, that first change in order to realize it. Over the years, I've learned that there can be 2 things that prompt you to change your circumstances. One is that you're so inspired by something so that you're pulled towards it like towards the sun, and it infuses you with energy so that getting in motion is easy. Or you get to rock bottom. You're frustrated, you feel sick of all of it. You might first feel a bit annoyed, then angry at the situation. Yes, in the worst case, someone might have conspired to get you into that situation. But then, as you realize that now it's your choice what to do about it, you've got no one else to blame but yourself, and you start getting angry at yourself. You're no longer willing to accept the status quo. You see the danger of staying and decaying, and finally move out of that dark hole. If I don't take the opportunity and continue to sleepwalk through life, there will be no one else to blame in 10 years from now. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you don't want to miss the next video, make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell on to all notifications so that YouTube will let you know once there's a new video. Thank you so much for watching and see you again soon.